Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At MICH Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future home buyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. MICH Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA MICH Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3. He's done his part.
Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I'm Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio, and we've had the 4th week of the college football playoff rankings. And this is the week I actually agree with most of the rankings, because obviously Georgia at the top. You got the Ohio State, Michigan 2-3. And where I agree the most is not because Jordan Travis got hurt. I think this is deserving of Washington. Washington should definitely be the number 4 team in the country. And I think if they win this week, they should be in the college football playoff regardless, because they won the toughest conference in college football. But we know the committee's probably not going to do that, because they're going to put whoever wins the game on Saturday ahead of them. But I'm happy that Washington's 4, Florida State at 5, and you got 6, you got Oregon, 7, you got
Texas.
And then 8, you got Alabama. And really after that, it really doesn't matter, because even Louisville, now that Travis is hurt, even if they beat Florida State, I still don't think they get into the playoff. So I like these rankings overall. I like the fact Washington's number 4. And, but I think this week, 2 against 3, I think this week, this Ohio State-Michigan game is a playoff game. The loser of this game, there's no way the loser should be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm with you. They shouldn't, because you can even make the point right now that Washington has a better resume than Michigan.
Much better resume than Michigan. Michigan's beaten one good team all year. They beat Penn State. That was it.
Yeah, so like Washington, I think should be at 3. You really want to go?
Yeah, absolutely. So. I think they should. Honestly, let's be honest. They probably should be at 2. They got a better resume than Ohio State and Michigan. I'm just happy they're at 4, because I was sick of them being at 5 every single week.
Yeah, I know. Like, because look, Florida State's a good team, but yeah, like they're gonna. They probably will have lost by 2 scores with Jordan Travis out there against Georgia or something like that. So yeah, I'm with you. Like, Washington's a better team, like, because it's ridiculous that Oregon State went down 5 spots for losing by 2 at home to the number 4 team in the country. That just shows, that tells you all you need to know.
The way they value the Pac-12, the Pac-12. It's ridiculous. They do not know how good that conference has been this year. That conference has been excellent this season. I know it's breaking up, but in the last year it's been excellent.
Yeah, because SEC still got a 7-4 Tennessee team in there. that hasn't beaten anybody.
And they got blown out in the swamp and at Missouri.
Yeah. Yep. And common opponent, Utah. Utah beat Florida. I know Utah hasn't been great either this year, but hey, those are my gripes there with the committee. But again, just shows you the SEC bias they love to show you week in and week out.
Exactly.
Which is the problem. But like other than that, like you could probably say, well, I should move up again because they have the best resume out there. Because even that, I know they didn't beat Arizona with the top 25 team, but the way Arizona's been playing, that's a top 15 win now.
It's resume and it's eye test. Their defense made the stop at the end of the game. Their defense has played pretty well the last couple of weeks. They got probably the Heisman Trophy front runner in Michael Penix Jr. They got one of the best receivers in the country in Rome Zuna. So what's his last name? Azuna? I'm trying to get his last name.
Oh yeah, the Zuna, yeah. I think that You
have one of the best receivers in the country. So Washington, I think they're right now they're the second best team. And I think if Washington and Oregon play and Oregon wins, they both have to be in the playoff. But I just have a feeling that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm with you. It should happen, but it won't. Especially if it's like a close game, goes down to the wire. Yeah, if somebody kicks a game-winning field, if Oregon kicks a game-winning field goal, they should be. But yeah, that's not going to happen. Less of chaos. Like Texas, I don't know. I don't think they lose this week. I don't know. Well, the Big 12, there's like 126 combinations that could happen.
It's crazy who's going to play them in that championship game. Yeah. But I'd say if Georgia wins this week, they're obviously in. I hate to say it, but they shouldn't be. But the winner of the game between Ohio State and Michigan, even if they somehow lose to Iowa, is probably in. Mm-hmm. So those are two teams that are in. And then if Florida State somehow goes undefeated, they're probably in. So it's probably going to be down to that one spot. It could end up being which team wins the Pac-12.
Yeah, it absolutely could. Because Iowa's at 17. They win this week. Maybe they move up another spot. That could be a top 16, top 15 win.
But the thing is, say Texas wins the Big 12 and Alabama wins the SEC, then it's going to be a mess.
Oh yeah, absolutely will. And I don't think Iowa should be up that high either. Like I don't want to. They shouldn't be that high up. But yeah, like if one of those two teams, loses well, like it's create chaos. But that Ohio State Michigan win, it's definitely a play-in. I don't think either that the loser should be in this week, even if it's a tight game, like especially because Michigan hasn't really played well the last couple of weeks. Ohio State, the offense is starting to kind of figure themselves out, but I still I don't trust McCord in a big moment.
The loser of this game has got to be the number 8 team in the country and stay at number 8, stay there the entire time. There is no way the loser of this game should be anywhere near the college football playoff, looking at the schedules that these two teams played this year.
Yeah. Because I know Ohio State has a nice one against Notre Dame, but Notre Dame's not great. They're not great. Yeah,
they're not great. Penn State, we've seen Penn State. We see all Penn State in the Michigan-Ohio State game. Their offense was not good in either game.
No, that's the problem. Now, Michigan, I don't think it's gonna happen. They do have a win against UNLV, who is 9-2. They win this week. They're 10-2. I don't think it's gonna happen, but they should. Maybe get some. I wouldn't be shocked. Maybe they come in at 25.
Wow.
I don't think it will happen.
Wow.
But UNLV is a good team. Like Barry Odom him and Jerry Kill should win Coach of the Year.
Really?
New Mexico State win 9 games. They should. They won't. But 9-3 New Mexico State's impressive. That hasn't happened since the 50s.
Yeah, New Mexico State actually. They beat Auburn last week.
Oh yeah, that's the Hugh Freeze special. Don't for a big game, have his team doesn't show up.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to, so maybe that could help Michigan, I guess, with their non-conference schedule somehow with a 10-win UNLV team. But other than that, their resumes aren't great because Iowa's not good. Like none of the teams played Iowa in the regular season, but they're not good. They're 9-2, but they're going to they'll be a 3-touchdown dog.
They lost 31-0 at Penn State. They got destroyed, and they lost to Minnesota at home. Yeah, Iowa's the worst 9-2. Penn State's not a great 9-2. It's a much better 9-2 than Iowa.
Oh, yeah. That thing was 31-0. Wasn't even close.
Yeah.
They didn't have 100 yards of offense. I don't think Iowa did in that game. I know Iowa was really banged up right now. Like, they're missing a ton offensively and their best defensive – or one of their best defense players now. But, yeah, that's not a good team. So, yeah, look, Michigan was absolutely steamrolling everybody. McCarthy, I don't think is 100% either. So, that's another thing they, going down to it. But, yeah, other than that with these kind of rankings, the loser – should go down, behind Alabama, because Alabama still theoretically has a shot. So I'm with you. Like the loser of this one should kind of go at least to number 8, because and then because they still have a shot. Like if chaos happens, they could Ohio State and Michigan should still get in, but I don't think it'd be very likely.
No, neither of these teams. If they lose this game, has got to be eliminated from the playoff. And now we were going to talk about that game between Ohio State and Michigan. And I think the big story going into this game is how Michigan, they've not missed Jim Harbaugh these first 2 weeks. Yeah, you may argue they missed him last week because they barely beat Maryland. But how big of a loss is Jim Harbaugh going to be this week? I don't think it's going to be that huge, because I think they're the better team. Now, the problem I got with Michigan is the conservative play calling on third down. That is absurd. Yeah, it might work against Ohio State. I'm telling you, if they continue to be this conservative on third down, even if Harbaugh's there, they are not going to win a national championship.
No, I'm with you, because look, we talked about it in the NFL show. And sir, you're trying to play not to lose. Like I get, like with them, their defense is pretty good and all that.
Yeah,
but like
if they get to the national title game against Georgia, they get into a national semifinal game against Washington, they play that way, they're losing.
Yeah, you might be able to beat Washington up front, but yeah, you're not out physically in Georgia. We saw that a couple years ago. Like if you want to just try to run the football against Georgia and get out of there with a win, nothing happened.
We saw that game. We saw that game 2 years ago. That was a blow.
That was ugly. Yeah. So like I don't know if that's Jim Harbaugh on like Friday or Saturday morning saying, "Hey, just run the football. Let's get out of there." And just like let's be as basic as possible, because there's so much hatred between like they have the clock of the game every year. They cross out the starting initial. Like you can't even say the other team's name. It's either the team north or the team south. Like I think it was Cardell Jones a couple weeks ago was talking about every week at Ohio State, they would put in like a few minutes of practice every week for Michigan. Like they would just 5 to 10 minutes of just like focusing on plays for Michigan. Like that's how, so like I could see where it's just like they've just been so basic. Hey, we're not showing them one thing. That's that would be the interesting thing is how much different, like how much, how plain vanilla have these teams been very kind of basic, what have they been hiding? I think is what we're going to find out. Maybe that's why Michigan's been like this.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see. And I think this leads us to our next point is what does Michigan have to do to win this football game? Number one, continue to run the football, but be a little bit more, stop being so conservative. Run the ball well, which you've done all year. I get it. You run first, but stop, as we said earlier, stop being so conservative. Stop being so conservative on third down. But it might work here. It might work against this team because they're going up against Kyle McCord. So it might, with them being conservative, might work in this game. Also, contain Marvin Harrison. He's going to make his plays, but contain Marvin Harrison. If Marvin Harrison is a big game, that's definitely going to open things up for Travion Henderson in the run game. So you got to contain Marvin Harrison. Those are the two keys for Michigan to win.
Yeah. For Michigan to win this football game, they got to protect their two tackles. Offensively right now have not been great the last couple of weeks. Like you saw last week, Maryland got some pressure on them. Ohio State, they got JTT. Could he be a game wrecker? Because I don't think McCarthy's 100% right now either. Because if Ohio State can kind of get some pressure on them, and especially especially Michigan cannot stay ahead of the chains, and you have to go 3rd and 9 where it's a passing down. I think that's where Michigan gets into problems with this one. Their wide receiver Roman Wilson, he left the game last week after against Maryland, but it sounds like he is gonna play this week, so that's gonna be big for them. But that's kind of number one for me is you gotta protect, because Ohio State could bring some pressure this week. And number two for me is for Michigan is you gotta, you mentioned it, you gotta slow down Marvin Harrison. Like he's the best player on that field. He's the best. Like we saw it against Penn State. He made he had 12 catches on like 15, 16 targets.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Like when Kyle McCord when he needs a play, he's going to Marvin Harrison. If you can't stop, he could really, change the game on a dime. If he can make a big play, a big kind of 50, 60-yard catch, because I think, like we've talked about the Penn State, Ohio State game and the Penn State, Michigan game, I don't see many drives in this one where you're going to go on a 13-play, 75-yard drive. Like, with these two defenses, I don't think that's going to happen. So, like, the big explosive plays are going to be huge. And if Michigan, lets Marvin Harrison hit a big play or two, you could be in trouble because it's going to be a low. I know this game is usually very high scoring and the winning team's usually in the 40s, but I know I was talking about they may have been hiding stuff, but I just think these two defenses are so good. And I think Ohio State I do think Jim Knowles physically, I think that Ohio State team, I don't think they get pushed around as much this time. So I have a hard time seeing a lot of points in this one.
Now we'll move on to Ohio State. What does Ohio State have to do to win the game? And first, they have to contain Michigan's running game. I know they're not gonna shut it down because let's be honest. Notre Dame ran the football on them, and Rutgers ran the ball on them. Yeah. So I still think Michigan's going to run the ball. They just can't go crazy like they did the last two games against them. They have to contain Michigan's running game. And number two, McCord is got to make a big play. If he doesn't make a big play in this game, they're not going to win. He can't manage this game. He's got to make a big play in this game to Marvin Harrison. One of the other. They got another good receiver too. So
Buke
and Harrison. He's got to make a big play in this game. Kyle McCord, if he doesn't make a big play in this game, Ohio State is going to lose it. So it's contain the run game, and McCord has got to make some big plays in this game. He can't just manage this game.
Yeah, absolutely. McCord, this is a big one. I know we saw the one moment we saw was that Notre Dame game. He went down the field to win that football game. Yep. Yes, Notre Dame, the 12 men on the field and all that. Yeah. That we could have changed some things, but we've seen it. But yes, this is going to be a much different environment going in the big house on a Saturday afternoon. Big game here, and because this is probably the most hyped regular season game I could remember. That 2019 LSU Bama game with Joe Burrow is up there, but this one might have, just with all the cheating, with all the kind of back and forth with, the Michigan kind of allegations going on right now. But yeah, for McCord, he's going to have to make a big play in this one. It's got to, it could be on like a big 3rd and 8, when you're driving where you kind of need 7, you don't want to, you want to kind of, you don't want to kick the field goal. You want to kind of get a touchdown there, something like that. And then for me too is kind of the running game. TreVeyon Henderson, since coming back from injury, that running game's really gotten going. If they're able to they can get a lead here, be able to kind of establish the running game, and make McCarthy and Ohio and make McCarthy and Michigan play from behind, which they really have not done a lot this year. Where you got to make him a passer. They can't kind of just try to run the football on you. They can get Henderson going again, this week. I think Ohio State's, has a shot. And, and lastly, and like for Ryan Day too, and I know we've talked about this, he's not in the hot seat. Like, but for Ohio State fans, he is. And if he loses to an interim coach, that's not going to go well.
And this would be his 3rd straight loss against Michigan. 3rd straight win. When Urban, for years before he was the head coach, they couldn't even lose to Michigan.
No. Yeah, they did. Yeah, I know they ran all over them. They dominated Michigan for so long, and the last couple of years, Harbaugh's been able to flip it, and like this is for Ryan Day to get the confidence back of that fan base. This is such a huge game for him that he has to win, and because again, they got a ton of talent. I still think Ryan Day is a very good coach. I know at times, you kind of question the play calling, but I still think majority of the time he's one of the best play callers in the country. And this is a team last year too that was a field goal away from beating Georgia in the semifinals.
Stroud was amazing. Stroud was amazing in that game.
Yeah. So that just I just figured I'd bring that up because he's not in the hot seat, but it is a huge game for Ryan Day to kind of get some. You can't lose an intern coach. I know Michigan's talented, but it would not be good for him, for that confidence, to get confidence back from that fan base.
No, not at all. Now our game prediction. I think this is a game that's going to be, again, low scoring. I think Michigan jumps out early. I think they get the running game going early. I think they jump out early. I think McCord struggles, but then I think McCord makes some plays, gets the ball to Harrison, gets the ball to Trey Stover, gets the ball to those Ohio State receivers. But I think it's going to come to, and then as they have been, Michigan gets conserved in the second half. But I think the ball's in McCord's hands at the end, but he doesn't get it done. And I think the Achilles heel for Ohio State shows up at the end of this game, and that's why I got Michigan winning this one 24-20 over Ohio State. But, the Buckeyes snapped their 2-game losing streak against the Wolverines.
I'm taking the Buckeyes.
Oh, you're going to Ohio State.
Yeah. I don't like, I think Marvin Harrison, we saw Maryland have success against that secondary last week. I think Harrison's going to have a pretty nice day. I'm very worried about McCord going on the road. Yes. But I don't know, what are the distractions like this week in Ann Arbor with everything going on? I know maybe the investigation is not, I know it's kind of ended, but everything going on, I haven't liked the way Michigan's played the last couple of weeks. I'm going to take Marvin Harrison. Kyle McCord to do enough. I think Trevion Henderson on the ground plays well. And again, Jim Knowles fixed this Ohio State defense for this game. I'm going to take Ryan Day to beat an interim head coach this week. I think the way kind of the conservativeness for Michigan, I don't think McCarthy's 100%. I think that's going to be an effect because McCarthy, I think, is really going to, when he's, able to get out and be mobile and run. I don't think he's going to be able to do that a lot. So I think Ohio State can contain him, and I'm going to take the Buckeyes to win a very low-scoring 21-17 victory over Michigan.
All right, we'll see what happens Saturday. Got a humongous game between those two teams. But we're going to move on to Friday night and the Civil War. You got the Battle of Oregon between Oregon and Oregon State. And I think this game is close early, but there's been no defense in the country that's been able to stop Bo Nix this year. I think he has another huge game for Oregon, and he gets Oregon to that huge matchup with Washington next Friday night in the Pac-12 championship game. I think DJU plays well, but he's going to have trouble keeping up. I got Oregon heading to the Pac-12 title game to face Washington. I got them winning it. They're going to get that rematch. I got them winning it 38-24 over Oregon State. But Justin, can the Beavers ruin the Duck season?
No, I got the Ducks in this one, 35-17. Actually, before I talk about, because we're talking about this rivalry game, kind of the last weekend of college football as we know it, just before all these changes happen.
It absolutely is. You're 100% right about that. It's sad, but it is.
Yeah, it is.
This one will never be the same after this.
No, it sounds like both these teams are trying to kind of continue this series. Sounds like Oregon's trying to move a couple things around in their schedule. So sounds like the Civil War may go on here for next, handful of years, but we'll wait and see. But yeah, last weekend, if take it all in this weekend, be a little disappointing. But because Michigan's next conference game, I think, is against USC, next regular season conference game. So next year, so be a lot different. But for this game, yeah, I think the Beavers again try to play spoiler, but I think their secondary struggles to slow down Bo Nix in this offense, and nobody goes up to the zoo in Eugene and knocks off Oregon. I think Bo Nix plays really well again. I think they do enough, and I just think Oregon right now up front, I think the Beavers are going to have a tough time trying to establish a running game with Damian Martinez in this football game. Again, this Oregon team went on the road to Utah and just absolutely blasted them 35-6. And you don't go into that stadium and beat the Utes like they did. I got the Ducks winning this one 35-17. I think it'd be too tough for the Beavers, especially coming off that emotional loss last week. I think it's tough, short week, and I got Ducks at home.
We got a Pac-12 matchup in Austin as the Red Raiders face the Longhorns. I think the Red Raiders keep it close early, but I think the Longhorns pull away. I don't think they score a ton of points, but they pull away, and they win it 27-13. They keep their college football hopes alive. But, Justin, can the Red Raiders ruin the Longhorns' college football playoff hopes?
I don't think so. I think I got the Longhorns this one as well, 31-21. I thought, Texas was, I thought they played a little bit better last week. Again, kind of, had a touchdown call back. For the one thing with Texas here, they ranked 96 so far this year, kind of red zone scoring percentage. Like, they have not been very good in the red zone. I don't know what it's been. I thought, they lost Jonathan Brooks last week, the running back. I thought CJ Baxter did a decent job in the backfield. I think he does enough. And I think for the Red Raiders, it's, their quarterbacks have been really banged up this year. That's been part of the problem. I think they, at one point, were down to their fourth string. Braden Moore, he's played pretty well since coming in the sophomore. He's played well. Texas Tech's been, I thought they were going to be better this year than they have. They made it, they got the 6 wins. I think they kind of fight. They usually play Texas pretty tough, but I just think Texas got too much talent. I think they move on and, move on next week in the Big 12 championship game.
Battle of Kentucky between Kentucky and Louisville. Louisville trying to keep their very, 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 very slim playoff hopes alive. I think this is a close competitive game, and I'm going to take the team with the better record. I'm going to go with Louisville here to win 27-20. But Justin, can the Wildcats win the Battle of Kentucky?
I need to be close. I thought last week was a trap game for Louisville. They survived. I think this one could be another kind of trap game looking ahead to Florida State. I don't survive a game, but I got Louisville in this one, 20-21. This Kentucky team, especially offensively, I don't think Devin Leary, their quarterback's been healthy most of the year. Their offense, besides like the Florida, outside like their non-con games, they put up 40 or 33 against Florida and 45 against Vandy. Like other than that, their offense really hasn't been overly impressive this year. And their defense can keep them in it. They're pretty good stopping the run, but I think Louisville Jack Plummer is going to have some success through the air in this one. And I think it'll be enough. I think Kentucky's going to keep it close. There's a lot of Mark Stoops, Kentucky fans aren't happy with Mark Stoops. Like, Kentucky better be careful what they wish for because they want him gone. You're going to go back to 3-win season. So, I think some too, like I feel like maybe this is the year Mark Stoops wants another job. It's going to be this offseason, and that could maybe be a little bit of distraction. So I got Louisville, but I think Kentucky's going to kind of fight, keep it close.
We got a matchup in the SEC between Alabama and Auburn. And I think that this game, because Auburn has had success against Alabama in this building. They've won 3 of the last 5 times. They very easily could have won in 2021 when Auburn beat them 24-22. I think this game is really close. And I don't think this game's that close. I think it's close early on. But I think in the second half, Bama pulls away with Jalen Milroy. I think Milroy plays really well. I just don't think Peyton Thorne's going to be able to keep up with Jalen Milroy. And that's why I got Bama heading to the conference title game against Georgia with 1 loss. I got Alabama winning this game 35-20. But can Auburn ruin Alabama's season again?
I don't think so. You mentioned it. Jordan Hare, it's something weird always happens down there in the Plains. But I got Bama 27-14. Hugh Freeze, he's had some success. He's being saved for down when he's at Ole Miss. And I think last week, I really think Hugh Freeze was just prepping for Bama for 2 weeks. Like, I don't think he cared at all about that New Mexico State game last week. I think he's threw all his eggs in the basket for this week just to get this win. But Peyton Thorpe's not very good. Can you be able to run the ball enough against this Bama team? And Auburn's, I think in this one too, I think Jalen Milroe and Tommy Reese, their OC, have kind of figured out this offense is improving. But Auburn's defense is pretty good. And I want to, I think this is a good week to kind of figure out how improved this offense is. Because if they go down there and they put up like 35, something like that, then yeah, they've really improved. But if they go put up 27, was that just a case because they played and they put up 42 against a very poor LSU defense? So I think Alabama's going to win this one. But I don't know how many points Hugh Freeze can scheme up with this Auburn offense. There's not a lot there. And, he's starting to kind of flip some guys in recruiting. He's got right now, pretty strong class coming in. I think he'll get it turned around there, but they're not at that level yet.
Got the Apple Cup between Washington State and Washington. I think that Washington wins this game, and I think they win it pretty convincingly. I got Washington winning this one. I think it's close early, but I think Washington pulls away in the second half. I got Washington win this one 42-24, proving that they should definitely be the number 4 team in the country and probably even higher. But Justin, can the Cougars ruin can the Cougars hand the Huskies their first loss?
No, I got the Huskies as well here, 38-23. There's another one, the Apple Cup. I think it was Sunday or Monday. Both teams kind of announced that they're gonna play the series through at least 2028. So another one, we'll at least have this one now. Now it's up to Bedlam. Now we need those 2 schools to kind of end their bitterness and figure that one out. But the Cougars defense is so bad. Yeah, they destroyed Colorado last week. Oh,
Colorado! Imagine how they've fallen off. They're not even a story anymore. They're not going to make a bowl game.
Nope, zero depth.
You were right about them. I was kind of high on them. You were not. Yeah. You were not that high on them. Even when they were winning those games early, you were not high on them. You know what game? What game you knew though when they weren't that good? That Colorado State game that they barely won.
Yeah, they should have lost that one. That coach blew that one. Deion, 69th ranked recruiting class. May not get this thing turned around too quickly there, but we'll see. But going for this game there, Cam Ward finally kind of got it going last week. They've been so one-dimensional this year. And I think, I know Washington secondary is not great, but I think this is a game where Washington kind of controls it. And Washington, again, last week, that rain, just coming down sideways, they won in different ways. They won with their defense. It feels like this is a team of destiny like TCU last year. Like they're just continually to find different ways of winning.
I mean, they're different. They're better than TCU last year.
Yeah,
they're
absolutely.
Definitely a better team. Yeah, but finding different ways to win and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in that way, it just kind of they're kind of just figuring things out. Figuring out kind of different ways to win football games. I think this weekend's Washington State, Michael Penix should be able to do whatever he wants. I think the weather should be better, so I think they're able to sling the ball around, even though if he looked, pretty good throwing in that weather. But yeah, I got Washington win this one by at least 2 scores.
All righty, we got the battle in the swamp between Florida and Florida State. And this is the one upset I'm picking this weekend. I know who's his name? Rodemaker, the quarterback?
Yeah,
Rodemaker.
Rodemaker.
I think he plays okay, but he would not play as well as Jordan Travis would against this defense. And Florida's problem is not their offense, it's been their defense. Graham Mertz actually had a decent year. I know they've lost 4 in a row.
Graham Mertz is out. Mertz is out. He broke his collarbone last week.
Gotcha. Who's playing?
It's Max Brown. They're freshman Max Brown. I think he's a freshman.
Yeah, but I do think he's a freshman. Yeah, but I do think all right, but you know what? Hey, maybe in the swamp, that kid plays pretty well, and they pull one out again. I don't know how good this Florida State team is without Jordan Travis. I think it's a close competitive game, and I'm going to go with the Gators here. I'm going to go with the Gators 24-21 to pull the upset.
Really? So yeah, it's still that Tate Brown Mac Brown, he's a very mobile quarterback. Could maybe give Florida State some problems. It's in the swamp on a Saturday night, and they're fighting for a bowl game.
Yeah.
And Billy Napier really needs this one because that fan base is turn on him very quickly.
They're getting impatient with him. They're getting impatient with him.
Yeah. They fired Mullen. They jumped at the first panic, and that was a bad move firing Dan Mullen. It's kind of starting to show. Yeah. For this game, it'll be the battle of backups. Florida State, another backup quarterback they've gotten to face. Like if you go back the last 4 or 5 weeks, they've continued to face backups. But so Brown could give him some problems. There's he looked decent last week in the Missouri game. Tate Rodemaker, he's been in the system now for a couple of years. He played last year. When Jordan Travis got hurt against Louisville last year, he kind of came in. He was okay. He's been in this system. Mike Norvell actually recruited this guy when he saw up Memphis, Tate Rodemaker. So, so Mike Norvell is pretty high on him. He does like him. He's, veteran kind of backup that's been in the system now for 4 years. I think he plays well enough. And I think offensively, and you talked about Florida's defense, it's so poor. And I think Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman, I think they have big enough days there and big enough games here. And they do enough and they do more than that Florida offense. And that Florida secondary gave up a 4th and 22, I think it was last week. And wow. The dude was sitting there, the Florida secondary, or one of their corners was sitting there kind of celebrating, thinking that Burden dropped the ball. And, he started celebrating early. So I can't trust this Florida team right now. I think the Seminoles find a way to sneak out of Gainesville with a win.
All righty, we'll wrap up talking about Georgia and Georgia Tech, and I think Georgia wins this one big. I know Haynes King hasn't had a bad year for Georgia Tech, but I got Georgia winning this one by 3 or 4 scores. I got Georgia winning this one 45-13 over Georgia Tech. Justin, Georgia look like they're the best team in the country. I assume you got them winning big in Atlanta on Saturday night.
Yeah, Brett Key's done an unbelievable job in year 1. Georgia Tech's won bowl, and they would have won the Coastal. They would be representing the Coastal Division if they still had division. So that's I don't know that's how bad the ACC's been this year. Haynes King has played really, really well for the most part. He struggled at Clemson, and the other problem with Georgia Tech is their defense is pitiful. They cannot stop the run. They're second to worst in the country. They're giving up over 220 rushing yards per game. I think Georgia's gonna be able to run the football all over them in this one. I think Georgia Tech will score at some points, but I think Georgia wins this game going away. I think it's 41-17. I don't think this is particularly close. And Carson Beck's playing really, really well. If he comes back to school next year, I would not be shocked to see him be like the preseason Heisman favorite next year. The way he's really come on at the end of the year, so I got Georgia in this one, and they, I don't think there's a kind of look at spot here getting ready for Alabama next week. They usually take care of business. I think they do here on Saturday night.
Yeah, I think they do as well. I think Georgia wins big in that game. But that's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin and Alfredo, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week talking about Week 13 of the NFL season, championship week of the college football season. I hope everyone has a happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is his availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach of college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3. He's done his part. Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Stinky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.